was the healthiest and probably fittest I'd ever been in my adult life. But something told me that something wasn't right. I was very emotional for quite a while, but practicality kicks in quite quickly because it has to. And then in April, I ran the Manchester Marathon.
Wow.
I sat in front of the consultant and I think I made a bit of a fool of myself because I said to him, will I still be able to run the marathon? And he said to me, I've been doing this job for 14 years. He said, and there's 3 questions that people ask me. That's not one of them.
So head of complaint, is it head of complaint resolutions?
Yes. Yeah, that's the official title.
So what's that involve, head of complaint resolution?
So basically resolving every customer complaint that comes into the business. So whether that's that a customer's had a bad experience with their order online, they've gone into a retail store, they've gone to the press office, there's been something that's happened that maybe is safety, so they've maybe hurt themselves. The next driver has driven irresponsibly and they've sent us a film of it. Literally anything that's customer facing that's complaint related comes to my area, and we have to seek a resolution for the customer because we are the very last line. So anything that goes to sort of Simon and the board, that all comes to me and my team. So yeah, it's quite a vast area.
Yeah, I was going to say, like when you were saying that there, you were saying your area. Like, what is that area then? Like,
so I've got the complaint resolution team. So I've got 100 heads, 100 advisors, and then 15 managers. And they're sort of split into divisions. So we've got the retail, we've got the online, home, CEO, as we call it. And then depending on what the nature of the complaint is and where it's come from, it routes to one of those teams and they seek the resolution. So they contact the customer. There's a lot of contact with the outside world. So the stores, the retail teams, loads of people. And they have to do everything they can to get a resolution for the customer.
So I guess it's fair to say, I guess there's quite a lot of like discovery and kind of coordination to find out what's gone on in the first instance then, yeah. Because you can't, obviously, someone just might, this is like, okay, let's...
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you'll get people who are possibly not always giving you all the facts.
Yeah.
So our job is, to get all the facts and all the information available and then decide on what the resolution will be. And then in addition to that, I'm also responsible for the regulated area. So things where customer goes to sort of solicitors or complaint companies to do things like irresponsible lending. So I'm responsible for some of the FCA regulated stuff that sits within the business. So that's another string to the bow.
I assume you didn't start there.
No, I've only been in that role 4 years.
Okay.
Yeah, so I started as an advisor on the phones, like most people probably did in the online team, worked my way up, and then I was head of international for 11 years. So that's when I first moved over to this site at head office, took over international, where we had sort of 2 advisors, Germany, and that was about it. And obviously grew that. And then, 4 years ago, a new opportunity came up and I was just ready for a new challenge.
Nice.
I wasn't unhappy. I just thought, do you know what, there's other things I could try.
Yeah.
And I've loved it. I've never regretted moving. It was obviously tough at the beginning because I had to learn an awful lot. But every day's a school day. So, and I still learn every day now. So I still really enjoy that.
And what's kept you so long, do you reckon? Because that's, 33 years of doing anything or being anywhere is a long time, and it's a level of commitment. That's the way I look at it. But there's got to, what's kept you here and like made you think, oh yeah, this is for me?
I suppose there's a couple of things. One, in the early days, it was the fact that I could pursue a career. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I left sort of college thinking, what does that look like? I hadn't really ever thought I want to be a doctor or a lawyer, or I'd got no clear career path. And then I joined Next and thought, well, there's definitely things I can do. So, you sort of make a decision I did quite early on that I was going to throw myself into it and quickly, sort of saw the routes that I could progress, work with some fantastic people that probably picked up on some bits that I could continue to bring. And then I suppose as time goes on, you get to the point where no different. So I can't ever really imagine not being at Next.
Yeah.
I get up every morning in the week and it's, right, I'm off to Next. And it's really intrinsically part of my world.
Right. In a good way as well.
In a really good way.
And
like I say, I still learn all the time. I still think there's opportunities within the business that I could explore if I wanted to.
Well, 4 years ago, for example.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I think, I've always believed, certainly for the last sort of few years, that I'd see my career out at Next. So And that may well be that I work my way back down again.
Oh,
because
right,
that opportunity is always there. You know, I can't imagine just saying one day, right, I'm done, and walking off.
Yeah.
But I could work back down, as we call it in running, pyramids.
Oh,
so
okay.
I could do some pyramids and go back sort of, you know, because there's so many things I could do. And I think, you know, the business are very supportive in most things that you want to do. If you show that you're going to be committed and you're going to want to progress, then they'll support you. And I've had a lot of support, so I've always been quite lucky.
That's good.
Yeah.
And has the support always come from managers and just managers or other people around the business? No.
I mean, managers definitely, but I think sometimes the biggest support is the people you work with.
Yeah.
The ones that you come in every day who say, you could do that job if you wanted to. Or have you thought about applying for
just
that?
giving you a nudge.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it's not always the managers. I mean, they've played a massive part because they're the ones that will promote you ultimately. But the people that you work alongside are the ones that probably, or certainly for me, have helped me to think, actually, I probably could do more. Particularly if you've not always got the self-belief. Sometimes you don't have to believe in yourself. If others believe in you, then you can actually probably do a lot more than you realise.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like you say, a bit of a nudge or a bit of a, go on, have a go.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I've worked with some fantastic people, but they've not always been the managers.
No, I'd agree with that. Yeah. I think sometimes you can have just a one-off conversation that might just change your whole career path.
Yeah.
And off you go.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes, I mean, I can remember Tracy Duddle saying to me, I mean, you know, blast from the past, but many, many years ago, one day I think you'll be a senior manager. And I can remember thinking, really? What on earth would make you think that? But she was absolutely right. You know, and I can remember her giving me my first senior manager role and saying to me, told you. And I was thinking, told you? She said that you'd be a senior manager. I was like, oh, okay.
It's weird, isn't it, how some people can see the potential in us or see certain things in us and that others can't.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
I think as well, there's so many things here as well where you can be supported, whether it's like, or whether you get good benefits or the well-being offering that we get as well. I think that all helps as well, doesn't it?
Oh,
yeah,
absolutely. I mean, the package itself is phenomenal, really. I mean, there's not very many people that I talk to that get what we get.
No, because I think one of the things, because I know we were speaking before, like around was the fact that one of the benefits we have is an on-site doctor as well.
Yeah.
Which I think you've got a bit of a story.
Yes.
As well.
Yeah.
So do you want to talk me through that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I'll give you a whirlwind tour, and then we'll talk about anything you want to talk about. So in August of last year, I found a lump in my boob on a Sunday. Was really quite panicked.
As you would be.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know, something in my head told me that something wasn't right.
Like, was that instant? Or
yes.
You were just like, this is not good.
Yeah, no, in my head, I just knew immediately. I mean, I was the healthiest and probably fittest I'd ever been in my adult life. But something told me that something wasn't right that minute. So I rang my GP that was a Sunday. I rang my GP on the Monday morning and got the usual, you can probably see somebody in 4 to 6 weeks. Which,
not what you want to hear when you're a bit worried.
No. And I knew in that time that, you know, we hear it all the time. Maybe don't take a lot of notice, but time is so precious if there is something untoward.
Yeah.
So I frantically messaged Claire Kershaw, our wellbeing manager, and said to her, you know, I've read this thing somewhere vaguely about the on-site GP. Should I use that, or I'd already used the Aviva doctor for something else.
Yes.
I thought, should I do the virtual one? And Claire was like, well, actually, funny enough, she's here on Tuesday. There's a couple of appointments. Booked in and saw her on the Tuesday. She did my referral. On the Saturday, I had, very lucky because there was an appointment available. I had some mammograms done and some tests.
Referral to the hospital, was that? Yeah. Well, God, so that quickly.
Yeah, and I think I was probably very fortunate. It's not always like that for everybody, but I was quite fortunate. And they diagnosed there and then that I'd got breast cancer. So that was the August. In the October, I had a couple of surgeries. In the December, I had 15 sessions of boost radiotherapy. And then in April, I ran the Manchester Marathon.
Wow.
So that's my whistle-stop tour of it.
That is a whistle-stop.
That's how I frame it in my head when I try and stay positive about it.
Right. In terms of, I've been on this kind of journey. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And if you don't mind me asking, what was that like when you first kind of, like, you got told? Like, was it, what was the emotion?
Yeah. Devastating.
Yeah.
Because I think even though in my head I knew, it happened so very quickly that I hadn't really had time to think about what that could look like.
Got you.
To the point where I actually went to the appointment on my own.
Really?
Yeah, I went on my own, potted down to the hospital, expecting them just to probably say, I don't think there's anything to really worry about, but well done for having it checked.
You're not even prepared for the kind of news that could come.
No. And that's a little bit how I am anyway. I'm quite a practical person. I'm a bit like, right, let's just get it done.
Yeah.
So it was a shock. I think, I always sort of tell a bit of a funny story about when I got my diagnosis, because it was horrendous. It was the worst thing that's ever happened. But I sat in front of the consultant and I think I made a bit of a fool of myself, because I said to him, and I was crying, obviously, because I was very upset. Will I still be able to run the marathon? And he said to me, I've been doing this job for 14 years. He said, and there's 3 questions that people ask me. That's not one of them.
Yeah.
And he went, but yes, I would have thought so. But let's see. He said it's very early days. So, yeah, it was devastating.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And you don't really know what to do.
No.
You sort of walk out of there and it's like, okay, so I'm sad and I'm thinking this is my whole world that's just fell apart around my feet. Who do I tell? So I rang Claire. I rang Claire from the car and sort of said, what do I do? And she was like, well, where are you? I said, I'm sitting in a lay-by on London Road.
Oh, no way.
I was lost as well. I'd just been driving round. And then we sort of got a little bit of a plan together. Obviously had to go home and tell my parents, which was exceptionally difficult. And then I suppose for me, I was very emotional for quite a while, but practicality kicks in quite quickly because it has to, or it certainly did for me. I needed to find some level of, what are we going to do about it and when are we going to do it? Because I'm not very patient. Again, it comes back to being quite practical.
I can relate to that.
Yeah. So the early days were a bit of a blur, if I'm absolutely honest. Even now, when I think back, I can't really remember an awful lot about those first 3 or 4 weeks, other than continually telling myself that 1, I would get through it, and 2, thank goodness I went and got some help.
Yeah, I mean that's quite because I've had people that's close to me that have either gone through it or going through it or whatever myself. And that's quite a positive outlook to look at it that way, to be like, the 2 things you said there, number 1, I'm going to get through it.
Yeah.
And number 2,
yeah,
you're not going to let it get to you. So
No. And I think I've been like that all the way through. I mean, don't get me wrong. There are days that you feel horrendous and you sit there and you think, I can't do this today. But I've allowed those days to be quite infrequent. And it's fair to say I'm really quite hard on myself.
Okay, and what do you mean by that?
I don't really do emotion very well. I'm a little bit devoid of it. I'm not a crier. I'm not, and I was in those early days, but I was very quickly saying to myself, you have to get a grip of this. You've got to not allow it to take over. And it did take over, of course. It still takes over every day now. But to a degree, I had to find some self-control in there of it. And there's not a lot. There's not a lot of control in a cancer journey, if I'm absolutely honest. It controls you for a long time. But I never, ever wanted to show weakness to the outside world.
Right.
And I don't know if that's because that was almost thinking, if I showed weakness to the outside world, the cancer had already won. And everything you read, and they tell you not to Google, but you do. Everything you read says
you're gonna, aren't you?
Of course you are. And it's like anything. If somebody says don't, of course you go into even more. So.
Yeah. Don't push that button.
Yeah,
okay,
absolutely.
I'll push that button.
Try that.
Yeah.
But you read everything, and everything you read is early detection is important. I think I found mine really quickly because I got the help as soon as I found the lump. And then the next biggest thing is positivity.
Yeah.
And I suppose I used that. And threw myself more into the exercise then than I'd ever done before.
I was going to ask you, was there anything that you then attached that mindset to
yes.
kind of
100%?
Yeah, and that was exercise, was it?
It was the marathon.
Yeah. That was the focus.
Yeah. I didn't know at that point whether I'd ever be able to do the marathon. It was the first marathon. I only started running 4 years ago. I'd lost a lot of weight and I needed to stay fit and healthy. And it was I'd signed up for the marathon almost on a bit of a whim, and then all of a sudden thought, oh,
prior to the diagnosis,
and then thought I've actually got to do this now. So I'd already started to do a few long runs before I got my diagnosis, but as soon as the consultant had sort of said, "We're never saying never, we'll see," I literally attached that, and that became my, I suppose, sort of my guide through my journey. It was like, right, in April, I will run the Manchester Marathon. I don't know what that will look like. It probably won't be anything like it would have been without the diagnosis. So I sat there and I drew up a plan. I drew up a plan of all my long runs, what I was going to do when. And at that point, I didn't even know when I was going to have surgery, but I'd still written myself this little plan of, this little ideal world I was possibly still living in. And obviously that got thrown up in the air several times. But the marathon absolutely kept me going. And to the point where when I'd done the marathon, I was really worried about what would be next.
What's next?
Yeah, what will motivate me to continue to want to stay healthy, strong, exercise. The marathon was absolutely, running in general was the big thing for me. I ran every single day. I had my radiotherapy sessions. I ran. I literally piled everything into running.
Wow. So. What was that feeling of that? What was that feeling of crossing that line then? What was it? A mix?
Disappointment.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, it's something.
Why?
And it's really difficult. Now, I'll never get anybody to understand it, I don't believe, but it's probably important to talk about because had I have not had the diagnosis, I probably would have ran it quite a lot quicker and I'd have trained quite a lot more. So when I crossed the line, as I approached the line, I was quite emotional. My family and a couple of my very close friends were there and of course they were cheering and I got quite emotional and I was thinking, yes, I've done it. And then within probably half an hour, I was like, that could have been quicker. Had it have been that, it would have been that. And I was already over-processing. So people say to me, you must be really proud of it. And no, I'm not.
Oh, wow.
But that said, I'm really proud of the fact that I persevered and stayed on that journey because it gave me the positivity I needed. So I absolutely have no regrets about doing it. It was the right decision, but I have to go and do it again. Which I suppose I'd maybe hoped I'd only have to do one in my lifetime. I've now got to go and have another go because, I've got to do better.
But then I think that's so true of anything. I mean, I've heard a lot of people, whether they've done like marathons or ultra marathons or triathlons or even achieved big things it's almost like the journey part is actually more of the enjoyable thing. And the end bit's just like that little icing on the cake.
Yeah.
And I think, I can't remember what it was. I read about it ages ago. A lot of runners do get like this marathon come down, regardless of what they've, obviously. And I think maybe that's probably something that you were going through as well, where you're like, all right.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've done it. I mean, I think you're being a bit harsh on yourself as well. I'm not going to lie.
To say that.
I'm not going to lie. I think you're being incredibly harsh on yourself to be going through what you were going through, both emotionally and physically, and then still do it.
Yeah.
So it's an achievement, but then I'm getting the vibe that that's you though, that you want to be better and you want to keep continually improving anyway.
I'm a bit of a control freak of myself. Not of others, just of myself. Yeah, I need to continue to improve and I will go and do another one.
Have you got one lined up?
Yeah.
When you do it?
I don't know if I should tell you on here because then I've set an expectation. I'm going to go back and do Manchester next year.
Nice.
I'm going to have another go. I mean, and I don't know what the health situation will be. I could go back and do exactly the same again. But equally, I could go back and do better and walk away thinking that was the right thing to do. It feels like it's almost unfinished business. So, but equally, I have to prioritise my health as well. So my plan is to be there in April next year.
And now, for people that have maybe not had someone close to them or ever experienced themselves, what's that day-to-day like now is from what you're saying in terms of the health and all and
so
everything.
Different.
Yeah?
So different, yeah. I mean, and it's not about scaring people, it's about being real.
Yeah.
I suppose when I had, in my early days, certainly after I'd had my surgery, I probably expected to be able to go back to being normal quite quickly.
Right.
That's not the reality. The old normal doesn't exist anymore. You have to find the new normal. And I haven't found that yet.
Okay.
I'm discovering it and I'm doing lots of different things along the way. But I certainly haven't found it yet. I think you have to process, you have to accept that things are different. You have to embrace emotions that you've probably, or certainly for me, never embraced before. And then there's the physical element, things like, and they're really silly things, but my teeth are falling out because the radiotherapy damages your gums. And so there's really silly practical things like that you don't, when in the past when somebody's perhaps said to me, I'm going through cancer and I've thought of the obvious things. Oh, your hair's going to fall out. You must feel dreadful. You must be sad. But I think it's far more than that. There's not a day that goes by that you don't think about it. But I'm only 10 months down the line, so it's still relatively early, I suppose, for me, really. But yeah, you think about it all the time, but your life's very different. But equally, that brings new challenges. I've learnt to swim. And I go swimming 3 times a week now, and because my body won't always do what I want it to do. I've learnt to sort of accept sometimes that there's other things that I can do. There's things that you have to learn. Probably the biggest thing that I've had to learn is that it's okay to be vulnerable, and that's not something I'm particularly good at.
Yeah, I'd join you with that one. I would join you with that one.
You have to. It's okay not to be okay some days. It is okay to cry. It is okay to ask for help. It's okay sometimes to wake up and think, I'm not going to the gym today because I just don't feel like it.
Yeah.
So at the minute, every day is still a learning day for me. I'm still learning the new normal. But I genuinely believe I'll find it. But I think I'll have learnt a lot along the way, which is great. So you have to take these opportunities, I suppose, and you have to see them as positives, because otherwise the alternative is far worse, and that is that you do get down in the dumps, you don't process, you don't accept, you don't move forward, and that would be incredibly sad for people to be like that. And I've got a 26-year-old autistic person that lives with me, so I also have to sort of think. I always want him to know that positivity and learning, even in really bad situations, is okay. So yeah, I just keep going every day.
Yeah. Well, I think for 2 reasons, it's very. I've got a lot of admiration for you. First of all, for coming on and talking about it. Because not everyone can.
No.
Not everyone can, because I think it's really important that a lot of people sometimes would, like you say, like you said, didn't really want to tell anyone, but now you are, here you are, telling everyone. Yeah. And also for what you've been through, for someone to continually do that and look at it the way you do, got nothing but massive respect for that.
Thank you.
So I really appreciate you coming on.
No, not at all.
No, and sharing that. But thank you for sharing with us and everyone.
No problem.